digital radio across Pembrokeshire and the PWR app, your smart speakers, and on the website as well. And it is really good to have you with us. And on the show tonight, well, in part 2, we will get into a review of the 2025 Six Nations after that horror show in Cardiff. Where next for Wales? We want your views as well. And of course, we'll review all of the weekend's football action from across Pembrokeshire, with Milford United beating the holders Clarbeston Road to book a place in the Senior Cup final, where they will play Hakin. Even Gordon Thomas would agree with me that that's a local derby. And of course, we'll also touch on some Pembrokeshire success at the Cheltenham Festival last week, and plenty of other stuff to get into as well. So let's get going. Tom, Gordon and Fraser in the studio. Gordon, you're on that. Yeah, that's a local derby in the Senior Cup final. An extreme local derby, isn't it?
It's granted, mate. It's definitely a local derby, yeah, and a lot of history between the two clubs as well, as they play each other every season for the Mercury Cup, which Fraser... Joe Lennon Cup, no, and the Mercury Cup before that, and they're old, so, they got a lot of history. They've never played each other, I'm told, in a final, but in the early 70s, they played each other in the semi-final of the competition, I'm told. Milford have won it 4 times in 59, 60, 61 and 62, but they were a Welsh League club after that, and they weren't involved in it that often. So it's great to see Milford United there. Clarbeston Road with the holders. I mean, they produced a shock last season, beating Goodwick in the final. So they'll be disappointed that they went out, but it's great to see a new club in the final. What do you think, Fraser?
I think absolutely. Some fantastic side stories to this as well, actually. I know it was only last year, wasn't it? We spoke to Adrian Horworth before Will went against Laurie in the final. You know, a similar situation this year. Scott Reed and Mark Jones playing against each other, brothers. And I don't know, Gordon, better to answer this than me, he's more knowledgeable in the history of the Senior Cup. Has there ever been a father versus son? Of course, not as players, but Steve Parks, I believe, Milford.
Yeah, that's an interesting
Liam
one.
Parks will be playing for
I'm not
Hakin.
aware of it. I hope some of our listeners, our older ones, could tell us if that has actually happened before. But I mean, Liam signed for Hakin mid-season.
From Milford.
From Milford. Yes. So, and they both find themselves against each other in the Senior Cup final. Interesting prospect.
Awkward.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, let me just say hi to Tom. How are you, Tom? All right?
I'm very good, thank you. I didn't get into any finals, but I did lose 6-1 to Hundleton seconds.
Okay, always goals in the Broadhaven matches though, Tom, isn't there? Yeah.
There's an unreliable centre-back, but they keep putting him there.
But listen, I think we have to start with that semi-final on Friday night. I think we were all a bit split, weren't we, when we previewed it last week on the show. But Fraser, you spoke to the Milford match winner, didn't you? Scott Reed in the first hour of the show. And that was a really good win for Milford to beat the holders, wasn't it? And make it through to the final.
Yeah, excellent, especially when you give them the respective league positions. They were very much underdogs on paper, Milford United. And as Gordon rightly pointed out, they're a big club with a lot of history. We kind of forget that now, a former Welsh League club. Some great players have come through Milford United. You look at a lot of the great players in Pembrokeshire, you maybe associate, for example, a Nicky Woodrow with a Hakin. He actually came to the Welsh League at Milford United. And there was so many more like it. To see them there, definitely. It was a great win, and Scott Reed, returning this season has proved vital, hasn't it? He scored goals in the quarter-final as well. We've had discussions about a few underrated strikers in Pembrokeshire in the last few weeks, haven't we? We talked about Rhys Darling, Shane Walsh. Scott Reed's another one. Scott Reed is up there with one of the best finishers I've ever seen in Pembrokeshire.
Definitely.
Not would I have him all-rounder striker, maybe not as one of the best ever.
But in the box.
Finishing-wise, in my era, certainly one of the best ever. He's always scored goals. He was perhaps unlucky. He's moved to Hakin. He wasn't really used by Gary Dawes. Could have been utilised more that season. But, you can argue maybe he hasn't always helped himself fitness-wise, but he's in good nick now, which is ironic because it was the end of his career. But, no, he is a great player to have for any club.
And ironically, he was Shane Walsh's ex-partner at Herbie.
That's right.
They played together for many seasons, and now they're going to be opposite each other in the Senior Cup final.
And both have scored goals very consistently.
Yeah.
So, Gordon, were you pitch side again at the semi-final on Friday?
Of course I was there, mate. It was a fascinating...
Did you have your boots? Yeah, that's the big question.
I had my boots on, actually. I had to have my boots on to take a photo.
Yeah.
Well, rules are rules at the end of the day. You've got to wear the right footwear.
So did you take your own boots this week, or did you have to borrow any, is the question?
Do you know what? I didn't have a pair of boots.
I was just saying,
it's that long ago, I don't know.
Bet it was as you've been boot shopping, Thomas.
So who lent you boots this week, Gord? That's what we want to know.
No, I got the same pair of boots. I just didn't give them back when they gave them to me. I know how
Typical.
it works.
Yeah, good man.
It was at the game. They got off to a great start, did Milford United. Jack Dyer scored within 3 minutes, I think it was. Caught Clarby real cold. They came back into the game slowly but surely, creating chances, Clarby. But fair play, Steve Parkside, they defended resolutely and they were up for the challenge. Rocky didn't get an equaliser, and that's Ben John in some terms, who people don't know who Rocky is. He got an equaliser, which he took well from the edge of the box, beat a couple of defenders and scored. And then, you were thinking, oh, this is going to be Clarby's evening now. They're going to push on. And worse it got for poor old Milford United. Their skipper then, Scott Griffiths, he took out Ben John, who was through on goal. And as the last man, the referee, Sean O'Connor, made the right decision, had to send him off. So Milford United were down to 10 men against Clarbesson Road. And still, Clarby were peppering their goal. And I have to say, young Charlie Malloy in goal, he was commanded his box brilliantly, and he pulled off some good saves. And he's only, I think, 17, 18, this Charlie. He played really well. But then the Anthony Hubbock, who's a centre-back, found himself inside the box in about the 80th minute mark. We were all wondering what he was doing in there. He shot and it just went wide, and we thought, my God. Well, I thought Milford United are back in this. And with that, very next attack, the ball came to Reid inside the box. And as we just spoke about it, he's deadly, he'll finish. And that's what he did. And there was no way back for Clarby and Milford United in the Senior Cup final to play their derby rivals Hakin.
Yeah, and I've just checked. 2.1 miles separates the two grounds, so it really is a local derby in the truest sense. It's great for football in that part of Pembrokeshire. Actually, it will be some occasion that, won't it? The 2024-25 Senior Cup final, Fraser. And obviously, we make Hakin favourites, but Milford will take something from that semi-final win.
Yeah, of course they will. I mean, it will be a great day for the town. You're right. I don't think the bouncers and the bar staff will agree, though. It could be a big one. A few buses going to and from Milford that night. But yeah, Hakin will be favourites. You're absolutely right, Ben. You just summed it up well there. But Milford will take everything from that. They've also got two big games now with the to battle against relegation. They need at least a result in at least one of them to have any chance of staying up. Actually, so that could help as well. They could either go in buoyed into this final having stayed up, or it could actually be something they have to win to salvage their season, which could make them even more determined. But either way, it'll be a huge day. And Hakin Milford, as you alluded to, two teams with great history. They are local. There's a lot of players on each team who've probably played for the other side, actually. So you're talking old teammates versus old teammates, friends versus friends. It's going to be a good day out there.
Okay, Saturday 12th of April, we'll of course have loads of build up to the Senior Cup final on the show that day. I think we might explore some of those family connections as well when we preview that. And I'll tell you what, there might be a battle, because it's always interesting where the teams go for breakfast on the morning of the Senior Cup final, but there might be a battle for who gets custody of some of the breakfast places in Milford, I think, on the eve of that final. Don't you reckon? Yeah, interesting where they go.
Foam down in Milford, the key place. I'll have to need 2 separate bookings.
2 sittings, maybe.
I should have.
I do believe that Hakin don't go for dinner or breakfast anymore.
They never did under Gary Dawes.
Yeah, they did. Gary had the first one they did it, and they lost. He banned breakfasts before Senior Cup finals.
I have to say, I was always a fan of that approach.
Yes,
and I was
they will focus on the game.
Same in cricket as well. I think you can get too caught up in having the big day out and making everything too different. Your preparation should be normal. I remember actually Gary telling me the bus even once he deliberately left Hakin arrived a little later than they would normally for a league game, just because he didn't want to mess around with any build-up. And once you get it done, you celebrate afterwards. So yeah, I've never been one for partaking in the whole photos at breakfast thing, I have to be honest.
Since he's retired, though, God, we all know Fraser loves a breakfast at St David's RFC, doesn't he?
Is that right, Ben?
There has been rumours about that. Yeah.
Well, I'll be lost then because I don't do them anymore. it wasn't a phenomenon that lasted, unfortunately.
Shame. Well, listen, good luck to both sides. Well done to Milford on that win on Friday night. Let's just have a quick look at the league results, because there were a couple of games on the weekend as well. 3 games, in fact, in Division 1. A big win for Goodwick. They beat Kilgetty 5-0. Hakin, on the back of that semi-final win in the Senior Cup the week before, with 3-1 winners against Carew. And Hebranston just want the season done, don't they? They were beaten 15-0 at home to Penna Robbins on Saturday as well. So what do we make of those results, guys?
I mean, you're right about Hebranston. It's just sad to see. You don't want to keep seeing it. I hope the season does end for them soon in the nicest possible way.
It has finished.
It has officially finished. I would have loved them to have picked up a win or a point.
Yeah.
But look, and I'll say this now, it's easy to pan Hebranston. Those guys have kept going, right? And we've seen it so often in Pembrokeshire. And I'll say it again, that the phrase I use a lot is, when the going gets tough, boys run to the hill. And it's the ones who left behind who have made sure that club can now hopefully rebuild in Division 2. Not every club has done that. We can go through West Dragons, we can go through Tenby that we've spoken about before, Saundersfoot, and who folded when the going got tough, and went down to 5, and a couple of years later reformed, all of a sudden a few old boys interested, and they're winning cheap league titles, Divisions 5, 4 and 3, making their way back up. It's much better to do it Hebranston's way. You dig in, you fight, you go through some hard, harrowing days, but I really hope they can rebuild. And fair play to League Aldo as well for sticking at
100%
it.
100%.
Because you're not paid to do this, and to go through a harrowing season like that, you could easily walk away, and he hasn't. So,
and they'll definitely bounce back. Yeah. They will. It'll take time. They've got a second team as well. They've kept that going.
Exactly.
And to be fair to him, it's a proper club. To be honest with you,
so
they will come back.
I'll give, as well, the results, I suggest is a weird thing to say, full credit to the ones who did stay and who did keep going.
Yeah, it's not easy. You're absolutely right. Big win for Goodwick there as well. I also just wanted to mention in Division 2 as well, big game at the top of the table, wasn't it? And it ended Narberth 0, Fishguard Sports 3. So Fishguard go a point clear, having played the same amount of games as Narberth in that division. Gord, you're smiling. That's making an exciting finish in Division 2.
Yeah, there's a few boys I work with that are involved with Fishguard, so they've been quietly telling me how good they are, and they're going to win the title. And that win at Jesse Road certainly, did open up a few eyes on Saturday afternoon, because Narberth been going really well. There's Stephen Williams, ex-Welsh League with Alfred County, playing up front. Jordan Williams is back there. They got a decent side, but Fishguard as well, with our old mate Chunky in defence, and Patrick Hughes and the likes, Gary Delaney. Steve Lewis.
Phil Jones is a very good coach as well.
Yeah, he's been around. He's coached at some top sides in Pembrokeshire, and he really prepares his teams properly. And they're going to. I think they probably go on and win the title now. They probably will. There's only about 3 games to go, I believe. And
how about the sides coming up then, the two of them, Fishguard and Narberth? How will they find life in Division 1? Obviously, we've spoken about Hebranston finding it hard. How do you think the jump will be for those two?
Well, Narberth, actually, a perfect example. We've been talking about, weren't they? They had a harrowing season. They did keep going. They kept fighting. They managed to rebuild in 2, and they're going back up, and it's great to see. Yeah, I think those two teams are on their up. I think they'll fight very hard to stay up and have a great chance of doing it, actually.
It still will be tough, because it is, Division 1 is a tough division, to be fair. And coming up from Division 2, it is harder to get to that level. But they have had boys in both of those teams who have played in Division 1, which will help them.
I hope they do both finish top 2, actually, as opposed to what's happened in the last couple of years, where a second team's broken them up. I'm not a fan of that rule of team as happened to Hebranston, unfortunately. Finishing 4th or 5th.
That's been the problem.
4th or 5th are going up. I don't think that's helped the situation. So
you can't have a second team in the first division. That's the rule that's there. So it does make it hard.
But I do think you should be made to finish top 2 to go up. Personally, but it's just my opinion.
Yeah, because the gap is huge then, isn't it? The further down
it is.
The table you go, just by the way it is. Absolutely. Okay, plenty of local football still to come. We'll round up the season, of course, over the next few weeks, and we'll look ahead to that Senior Cup final at the Bridge Meadow on the 12th of April. Back at the Bridge Meadow this Friday, Haverfordwest County against Pennebont, which is a really exciting end-of-season game, Gordon, actually, isn't it? Under the floodlights. Pennebont are a decent side as well. I thought it was not a bad result for Haverfordwest Saturday, having been beaten badly at TNS, to go away to Barlow, which is a long journey, and come back with a point. And on the whole, they've been quite hard to play against on the road, haven't they, this season?
Yeah, it's just one of those blips they had against the top side TNS, and it could happen to any one of those teams in that division. They've been crowned champions as well now again, so that was last Friday, so congratulations to them. Penybont, I think they're a little bit away from after about 6 points without me.
Yeah, 6 in it going into this game.
Yeah. Haverfordwest really need to win on Friday evening, and Tony Pennock knows that. He's got to be absolutely delighted with what's happened with Haverfordwest County this season. To finish in third would be absolutely brilliant, but to pinch second spot would be beyond his dreams. I know it would be.
Just for people watching and listening, what that means would be one less game, basically. Is that right? If they come second, they would automatically make it through to the latter stages of that qualification bit for Europe.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Which makes a big difference.
It would make a heck of a difference. But
Yeah.
the only trouble, Haverfordwest players won't have much time for rest. They'll be straight on it. But that's the price.
Yeah.
That's the price of success, isn't it?
We remember that European summer, don't we?
Yes.
A couple of summers ago.
That's what you invest. That's what you invest heavily for. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
It could be on the way. And Tom, great interview you had in the first hour as well with Owen Jones as well. And that will be on catch up if people want to listen back. But he was on good form, I thought.
Really good form, and excited to be part of Haverfordwest. He's only joined at the beginning of this season along with Ben and reunited with Corey, and already signed for next year with a big handful of players who all believe in the journey that the club's on. I think there's a real sense of excitement among the squad and everyone at the Bridge Meadow. It's great.
Okay, I think the video's on the Facebook page, and you can catch up at purewestradio.com. The first hour had loads in it again this evening, so if you haven't listened to that, do listen back. That's between 7 and 8. I tell you what, we'll take a moment, chaps, and then you're going to have the pleasure of analysing what happened in Cardiff on Saturday.
You, Ben.
But also where next. And I have to say at one point, Fraser's gone.
Yeah, get me out of here.
At one point, I did wonder whether the one time I predicted England to win the Six Nations, it was going to happen at half time in the France-Scotland game. I did wonder, but I think we'll focus a bit on where next as well, because there's some names being.
We did have a saving grace Friday night. We stopped them having the Grand Slam in the under-20s, so we'll take that.
Well, that was one thing.
It's all about the future.
Yeah,
it's all
that
about
was
the
one
future,
thing.
Fraser. I'm with you there.
Okay, we will talk about that future.
Yeah,
There's some
will.
things being linked with
Definitely
the
talk about
director
that.
of
I'm not
Rugby
talking about the other
Post.
one.
Yeah.
So we'll mention some of that, and we'll have some comments as well. So any thoughts on where Wales go after that Six Nations campaign? Now it's done and dusted. Get in touch with us this evening. It's your Monday evening. Good to have your company on Pure West Sport. Back for part 2 in a few moments' time.
Eaton-Evansd and Morris Solicitors have traditional values.